Sox to 3 hits. Back in July, Josh Beckett held the Royals to 3 hits, turning in his 4th career shutout. Hochevar and the Royals take on Beckett and the Red Sox tonight on Fox Sports Kansas City. After rallying late on Monday against Boston, the Royals came out charging last night. 5 runs in the bottom of the first inning, and that was 4 more than Zach Greinke needed with 6 shutout innings. And now the Royals have won the first 2 games against the Red Sox. A win tonight at Kauffman Stadium means the Royals clinch their 5th consecutive winning series. And welcome back to the ballpark. Ryan Lefebvre with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White. And really, in the big picture this year, it's been a frustrating year for Luke Hochevar. He is 7-10, but he's also had some very exceptional starts.
Some very exceptional starts, Ryan. A lot to build on for sure. But Luke has really gone through this tough time with a lot of confidence. He's tweaked some of his mechanics, and tonight will be a good opportunity for him to put together back-to-back quality starts.
Here are highlights from maybe his most exceptional start of the year. A complete game against the Cincinnati Reds that only required 80 pitches, and that's one of 4 remarkable starts for Luke. He also had an excellent start against Minnesota at the end of June, then a 13 strikeout performance against the Rangers, but that's when the drought began, and Luke went 9 consecutive starts without a win. That ended on Friday with the shutout at Chicago. And behind the plate for Luke on Friday was John Buck. He's back there again tonight, and Buck is having a bit of a surge on offense.
Definitely a surge, and not having played for a while, he's gotten on this hot bandwagon with the Royals offense. Also, he's driving the ball to the center field for home runs, and tonight being behind the plate with Luke Hochevar should give Hochevar a lot of confidence also.
It has been a great month for the Royals on offense. It's been a great series. They have come up with 17 runs in the first 2 games, but tonight they go up against Josh Beckett, who is 4-0 against the Royals with an ERA under 2. We'll talk more about him when we come back. explore a menu full of soup, salads, sandwiches, and savory breakfast items. Panera Bread, where every detail matters. The Royals first faced Josh Beckett as a member of the Red Sox back in 2006. He pitched 8 shutout innings, and then after the game, he got a huge 3-year contract extension, and he's been tough on the Royals ever since, including the 3-hit shutout against the Royals back in July. The Royals just hitting 176 against him. So what are they going to do to beat him tonight? Here's the Kia scouting report.
Well, against Josh Beckett, you can see what he does against opponents' averages. So the Royals really have to key on his fastball, because when you get down to his slider and his curve, if both those are there and they don't hit the fastball, it's going to be a tough night for the Royals. So fastball command from Josh Beckett, and the Royals hitting his fastball is going to be the key.
Beckett, I'm sure, is aware of how well the Royals are swinging the bats this month. Here's the M&I Bank starting lineup. David DeJesus back in the lineup last night after missing a couple of games with a bad ankle. He had 2 hits. Miguel Olivo is out, so Brian Pena will bat fourth. He's the DH. John Buck behind the plate, and Mark Teahan is back for a 2nd consecutive game after missing 9 with a bad back. And the Royals will lean on Mark Teahan because he is one of the few Royals who's had some success against Josh Beckett. He brings a .357 career average into the game tonight against the Red Sox right-hander. Game 3, the Royals and the Red Sox. The first pitch is next. Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. Terry Francona, in his 6th season as Red Sox manager, he has won 2 World Series championships in 04 and 07. On his way to the postseason again this year. Here's his lineup presented by M&I Bank. Jason Bay had a big hit for the Red Sox on Monday, a 3-run home run, but that was the game that the Royals came back and won. And then Jason Bay was hitless with 3 strikeouts in last night's game. They'll be facing right-hander Luke Hochevar. Here is the Kia scouting report.
But one thing about Luke, he's got to get ahead of the hitters, and when he gets ahead of the hitters, he got a chance to let his secondary pitchers help him out and keep the ball down and let his defense work for him behind him.
Luke has faced the Red Sox this year, and he won
That was the Royals' only win in Boston back on July the 9th, but he gave up 5 runs in 6 innings. So it wasn't a dominant start for him, but it was a good night for the offense, and the Royals won the game 8-6. On the outside corner for strike 1. It has been a quiet series for the most part for Jacoby Ellsbury. Only 1 hit. He has scored 2 runs, and he's added to his major league lead with his 64th stolen base. No balls, 2 strikes. Ellsbury led the American League last year. He had 50 stolen bases, and that was while he was sharing time with Coco Crisp. Still 0-2. Ellsbury, Pedroia, and Martinez coming up in the first inning. Got him looking at a curve. Oh, a good start for Luke. 1 down. And we welcome in Joel Goldberg.
Luke Hochevar, guys, is making his 23rd start of the year. He had 22 starts last year, 22 starts this year, and the numbers are about the same. Same amount of innings pitched last year as this year, same amount of hits, just about the same amount of earned runs. Talked to pitching coach Bob McClure about that, and he said he's not sure why the numbers are the same, but he really believes that Luke is improving. He said that it takes a while. He said even guys like Sandy Koufax in the minors, it took him a few years. He said not everybody has a chance to be like Dwight Gooden and figure it out right away. He summed it up by saying it is a simple game. It is not easy to get good at, but he believes that Luke is on his way, guys.
All right, Joel, 1-1 on Pedroia. I got a chance to talk to Luke a couple of road trips ago and asked him what he has been most satisfied with as far as improvements. And at the top of the list was his ability to read swings in the middle of at-bats. So rather than hear about it in the dugout or have to watch it on video later in the game or after the game, he's getting a better feel of what hitters are trying to do against him in the middle of an at-bat, and more of an ability to make that adjustment before the at-bat is even over.
Well, that's true, and that's that's not getting the same pitching pattern. Once you get in the pattern, that's where hitters really thrive on a pitcher. So being able to recognize a pitch that you think shouldn't be swung at and they're on it, that means that you may be in the same zone too often.
Really tied up Pedroia, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, but you can also throw a fastball, and if the right-handed hitter fouls it over the Royals dugout, you say, well, maybe I got him beat with this fastball, and you stay with the fastball. If you see that and you throw an all-speed pitch and get a base hit, then you're not reading the swing, and you're not giving yourself enough credit for having good stuff that day.
Betancourt charges in, and Pedroia is the second out. It is a gorgeous night tonight. Great night to be outside, and a nice crowd gathered at Kauffman Stadium as the fall continues to settle in. 69 degrees. It was overcast around batting practice, and people were worried about rain, but all of that has moved out. We started on time, and the time and temp brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. So Hochevar gets Dustin Pedroia, who had a 14-game hitting streak, and now Victor Martinez, who's hit in 21 in a row.
I think we look too, Ryan, you're looking for similarities. You go back to his last game, and what is he doing in this game that he did in the last game? And so far, he's getting the ball. He's ready to pitch. He's not doing a lot of walking around the mound and brushing the rubber off out there. He's just getting the ball, waiting for the next target, thinking about the next pitch, and not thinking about what may happen if I don't make a good pitch.
2-1 to Martinez. John Buck, before that pitch was thrown, he put the 1 down for the fastball. Then he began to kind kind of swirl his index finger, and that's the sign that he wants the fastball with some movement as opposed to the four-seam fastball, which is more for velocity. Three and two.
I know when Bob was talking about Luke and comparing him to how long it took Sandy Koufax to get going, but in today's baseball, pitchers don't have that luxury of waiting that long until they find it. With the bonuses they're signing for, how fast they're getting to the major leagues, and teams are looking for results a lot faster.
Drilled to center, but right at Mitch Meyer. So Luke picks up where he left off in Chicago. Red Sox, who appear to be headed to the playoffs as the wild card. Trey Hillman will have a different third base coach tonight, as Mike Jerschele, who just finished his 7th consecutive season managing at AAA Omaha and his 10th overall, as Dave Owen had to return home for a family emergency. Now that's no stretch for Mike Jerschele, because in the minor leagues as manager, you don't have a third base coach. You are the third base coach.
Yeah, Mike's been coaching third base since 1992. He said we both started managing, I was managing the Red Sox rookie team in Winter Haven, Florida, and he started with the Royals in Baseball City in '92. So he's had a lot of experience coaching third base.
David DeJesus with 2 hits last night. Had missed the game on Sunday in Chicago and then Monday in this series with a sore right ankle. But on base 3 times, also had a walk and scored a run. Royals winning 5-1 and got all 5 in the bottom of the first inning. 0-2 against Josh Beckett. Beckett has pitched well in his last 2 starts. He has always pitched well against the Royals, but he had a stretch where he was not throwing the ball well. He had gone 5 starts with a 7.76 ERA, but he's cleaned that up in his last 2. Took a no decision on Thursday against the Angels. He went 8 innings and gave up just 3 runs. So whether Beckett is throwing his A game or not, he's still one of the best in the American League.
Well, I really like him as a pitcher. I mean, he's got the fastball, and he's got fastball with movement, and the changeup, slider, and curveball. And when he's on, he can be extremely tough. He's got an edge about him too. I mean, he's not afraid to go inside the hitters and knock hitters off the plate to set up the next pitch. And I think that's where a lot of the young pitchers today mentally need to get to, where they know when to throw inside, how they want to throw inside, and why they throw it inside. And I think that'll answer a lot of questions for them.
2-2 on DeJesus. That edge goes back to when he was drafted in '99. He was the 2nd overall pick. Went to the Marlins. Josh Hamilton was ahead of him to the Rays. And he's expected, and this is being drafted out of high school, that he'd be pitching in the All-Star game 2 years later, the Major League All-Star game. There's a Major League curveball to get David DeJesus. One away in the first inning.
Well, this is Josh Beckett here. That it just takes a little bit off of the curveball, and then he comes right back and just adds a little more to it, and it gets a little bit hard to break. And just like Ricky, just two different speeds on the same pitch, and that's what makes these guys tough, especially when they can spot their fastballs where they want them.
0-1 on Mitch Meyer, who has 2 hits, 2 walks, and 2 runs scored in the series. Pedroia, tough throw, somehow got it to first base and might have gotten a slower runner. He was the Gold Glove winner last year in the American League, and that was a great effort.
Here comes a lot of ground around. Look how far he goes. This ball is only 3 or 4 feet to this side of second base, and he just couldn't get his body angled enough to get off a good throw to first base. He catches the ball, he's stretched out, and so he just can't pull himself back together to get that right foot down and get back over the top to get a stronger throw to first.
So 1-on-1 out to Billy Butler. Billy with a walk and a run scored last night. He had 2 doubles on Monday. So Billy 1 point below 300. 49 doubles, second in the league, and his 85 RBIs lead the Royals. 18 of those 85 RBIs in this month. Oh, 0-2. By the way, Josh Beckett did not make it to the Major League All-Star game 2 years after he was drafted out of high school. But 4 years after he was drafted out of high school, he was the World Series MVP when the Florida Marlins stunned the New York Yankees in 2003. Myers running, and Martinez's throw is high. Stolen base number 8 for Mitch Meyer.
Now Mitch gets a real good jump. It's almost like Josh Beckett never even saw him at first base. He got a real good jump, and there was no contest at second base. The Royals have really just opened up their whole offense this month of September. The base stealing, the hit and running, going first to third, squeeze bunting, everything that Trey Hillman wants to do right now seems to be flowing well for the Royals.
Second strikeout for Beckett this inning on the curveball, 2 down.
So a lot of the things that we've been waiting all year to see, we're seeing everything in September. We saw a lot of situations throughout the year where you thought they might be hitting and running, they thought they might be stealing, and everything was pretty conservative. But something about turning the clock into September, everything is just flowing right out in front of you.
Outside to Brian Pena, who hasn't played in 9 games. And Trey Hillman saying yesterday that there's no reason for that. Brian Pena is not hurt. He's not in the doghouse. It's just that Miguel Olivo and John Buck are playing well, and they have the experience over Brian Pena. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It'd be hard to find any of the Royals offensive players for the month of September that aren't playing well. John Buck hadn't played in a while, and when he got back in there, right away he joins the hit parade, and everything. Everybody that Trey Hillman puts in the lineup have done well, from Anderson to Meyer, everybody.
2-1. Beckett's shutout against the Royals on July the 12th was his 100th career victory. And he would have a lot more than that with his ability, but he's had a lot of trips to the disabled list, 12 times in his career, and 7 times because of blisters. And that might call to mind when Jeremy Offelt was with the Royals and all the trouble he had with his blister and everything that the Royals tried to do to figure that out. At one point, Royals recommended that he have part of his fingernail permanently removed, which he did.
That's when they go through the super glue and all the different things that make that skin a lot tougher around that nail.
Pickle brine. A walk. So the Royals with 2 on, 2 out. Beckett had most of those blister problems while he's with the Florida Marlins, and the Marlins trying to come up with all those similar solutions that the Royals were trying to come up with Jeremy Offlet. At one point sent him to a University of Miami burn doctor because of the friction and the ball leaving his finger. Skin was tearing, blistering, and so thinking that maybe the treatment for a burn would be the treatment for a blister. Alberto Callaspo, 3 hits last night, 5 in the series. Very consistent first half and second half, and he's really turned it up in September with the team leading 20 RBIs. He has Meyer at second base, Pena at first. One and one. Beckett also one of those guys you talk about the edge that he has. He is in no hurry. I mean, he pitches to his own pace.
Well, you're saying, are we looking for a long game tonight? I think the Red Sox and the Yankees both play long games. I mean, they take a lot of pitches. They step out of the box a long time, and so much for keeping that 1 foot in the box and having so much time between each pitch.
Aspo into right field, and J.D. Drew puts it away. Inning over. Royals strand 2 in the first. KCA.com. And by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. And it doesn't seem like that long ago that the sun was setting here at Kauffman Stadium in the 5th or 6th innings. And now going down in the 2nd as the days are getting shorter, as are the days remaining before the 2009 regular season comes to a close. Really a pretty night. 1-1 on Kevin Youkilis, who is just 1 for 9 in the series, and that one hit goes back to his first at bat on Monday, an infield single, so he's 0 for his last 8. Hochevar got Ellsbury, Pedroia, and Martinez. 1, 2, 3 in the first. Three and one. Full count. Going back to Luke's start against the Red Sox in July, he gave up a lot of 2-strike hits, and a good hitting team, they might be down with 2 strikes, but they're not out with 2 strikes. And that 3-2 pitch is ripped to left, but right at the Jesus. So the last 2 hitters, Martinez in the first, Youkilis in the second, have lined to the outfield. Nebraska football fans, the Huskers take on Louisiana Lafayette on Saturday. It'll be the 300th consecutive sellout at Memorial Stadium. And thanks to your pay-per-view provider, you can watch the game from your living room for just $29.95. Access your digital program guide or call your local pay-per-view provider to order. There's another Red Sox hitter who had an impact in game 1 but has been quiet since. Jason Bay, 3-run home run on Monday, 0 for 4 last night with 3 strikeouts. He has struck out 151 times this year. Three and one.
Well, the Red Sox are such a good hitting team, Ryan. And so if you don't move the ball in and out against a team like this, they'll just take the whole plate away from you. So it's going to be really important for Luke tonight to pitch both sides of the plate.
Bay strikes out a lot. He also walks quite a bit. That's his 90th. Runner at first, 1 out. Well, there's no question who has been the most effective start of this year, but you call it, presented by Sprint, ask who has been the second most effective. Who would be the Royals' number 2? Brian Bannister, Kyle Davies, Luke Hochevar, or Gil Mesh? Right now, Mesh, Davies, and Bannister are shut down. Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, followed by a space, A, B, C, or D. Standard text rates apply. Inside on David Ortiz. Ortiz just 1 for 7 with a couple of walks, and he cannot, for the life of him, get the ball past Unievsky Betancourt. 2-0. And by the way, in the You Call It, if you're wondering why Robinson Tejeda isn't among that list, especially with the way he's been pitching lately, those were starters who have had 10 or more starts this year. Tejeda has had 4. Beat the White Sox on Sunday, 1 run, 3 hits in 6 innings. Tejeda has given up 2 earned runs in 22 1/3 innings as a starter.
Well, you have a lot of guys on your staff sometimes. I wouldn't say a lot, maybe a couple of guys on your staff that you say, well, maybe this guy can start. He started before. You know, let's see where he's at. But I don't know if anyone ever expected to get out of Robinson Tejeda what what he was able to put out there to this point. I mean, right now you almost have to say you've got either the 4th or the 5th spot next year. Just go out and finish the season strong, and this is what you're going to be doing for us come next spring.
I'll bet Dayton Moore and Trey Hillman would agree with that.
They probably wouldn't say it as easily as I would say it, though.
I mean, you're hoping for something like that from Tejeda, but can you expect that? Boy, I don't know.
Well, he's got the arm. He's got the experience. He's done it before, and so maybe he's coming into his prime a little bit. Maybe he's figured it out, and he's added some pitches that he doesn't have to just go out and power his fastball, and I think that it really helps his confidence a lot.
Royals fans, by the way, hey, what have you done for me lately bunch? Kevin Schenk just told me that Luke was at 52% in the poll, and then ball 4 to David Ortiz, and it immediately dropped down to 50. And now he's missed with 8 straight. The count was 1-1 on Jason Bay. Luke missed with 3 in a row, a 4-pitch walk to Ortiz, and now 1-0 on Mike Lowell.
That group that's out there, it's hard to overlook Kyle Davies and what he's done. I think he's been, in my opinion, the most effective because he made all of his starts. He was able to keep this team in every game just about, trying to give his team a chance to win, and he got it through some tough wins, and I think that out of that group he would be the guy that I would pick.
Two and 1 to Mike Lowell, who is not at 100% with the right hip injury, which he had surgery on during the offseason, and he spent some time on the disabled list this year. And he has grounded into 21 double plays. Luke gets the swing and miss. He may have preferred a ground ball.
Well, that was a great pitch to do it with. That's that two-seamer that ran down underneath Mike Lowell's swing. But see, look how this ball reacts. It just goes straight down, and that's the ground ball he wants right there to get himself out of this inning. I wouldn't try a four-seamer or anything like that. I would just try to throw the sinker and try to get a ground ball.
Got him with the breaking ball. So 2 walks, and then he comes back with a strikeout, 2 down.
Well, this has got to be a tough pitch for anything away from Mike Lowell's. Got to be tough with that right hip being his drive leg. Anytime he's got to push and reach, you can see right there that he prefer the ball mill land where he can just turn on it and not have to reach out and try to hit the ball away.
So Luke's second strikeout for the Royals. That's 1,086 this year, and that's a new franchise record, which was established last year. So the Royals are going to shatter that number with 10 more games to go after tonight. J.D. Drew 0 for 3 last night. Not bad when your number 8 hitter has hit 21 home runs. Off the plate, Hochevar to the line to get J.D. Drew. So 2 walks are harmless to Hochevar in the second inning. with ticket packages benefiting the American Heart Association. That'll be the final game of this series. Hy-Vee, Macy's, 38 The Spot, and KUDL are teaming up for the night to bring you food, fashion, and fun. The first 10,000 ladies receive a free Royals shirt from Hy-Vee. One and one on Mark Teahan, hitless last night, but a ground ball produced an RBI in the Royals' 5-run first inning, and that was all the Royals needed. They did not score after the first. Zach Greinke, 6 scoreless innings, and then the bullpen giving up 1 run in 3 innings. Back to Beckett. So Teahan is out, and now John Buck. First appearance in this series for Buck, but prior to this series working on a 6-game hitting streak, so trying to finish strong at the plate. Royals getting a single and a walk with 2 outs against Beckett in the first inning, but Beckett got Callaspo to fly out. 97 over the outside corner, and John Buck isn't a Royals hitter that needs to be reminded of how good Josh Beckett is. Buck is 0 for 9 against him.
Well, that pitch right there, he can be 0 for 10 real easy, because I don't think that's a hittable pitch at all.
1-2. Buck that was inside. Ted Barrett is more of a pitcher-friendly home plate umpire.
And this is the pitch that wants to come. It just stays right out there on the inside corner. John Buck, after that fastball on the outside corner, anything would look inside after that pitch.
Much tighter strike zone on Monday and last night. Some umpires, it seems, really make it hard to throw a strike, and other umpires are looking to call a strike. Two and two.
I know John Hirschbeck, he's one of those umpires that you get the ball, a good baseball off the outside corner, inside corner, he calls that pitch a strike all the time. So if you got him behind the plate, then you know it's time to swing the bat when he's behind the plate. Tim McClellan, on the other hand, he shrinks his strike zone, so it makes it not only harder on the hitters, it makes it harder on the pitcher also.
Up the middle, and John Buck's first hit against Beckett, and now Buck has hit in 7 straight games.
Now, sometimes when you're trying to hit a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, it's all about how short your swing is. You see, he just stayed nice and short back through the middle. He didn't take that normal John Buck long swing. He really cut it down with 2 strikes and got himself a base hit.
And now another hitter who comes in tonight with a 6-game streak, Alex Gordon. 3 hits in the first 2 games and a walk. And that's roped to right. J.D. Drew comes in to make the play. No double play, 2 down. So Buck at first for Yuniesky Betancourt. Anthony LaRue is a name that you may not recognize, but he's going to start tomorrow in the final game of the series. Spent this year at Double-A with Northwest Arkansas and pitched in the playoffs. He has pitched in the big leagues before with the Braves, so he will start tomorrow, make his Royals debut against Clay Buchholz. Curveball for a strike. Betancourt driving in 2 on Monday. He was hitless in the game last night. He made the final out in the Royals' 5-run first inning. He did have a very good game, however, on defense. Beckett off the mound quickly. Couldn't get the ball out of his glove. So an infield single, and the Royals have 2 on, 2 out for the second straight inning.
But Josh Beckett does a real good job getting off the mound here, Riley. He feels his ball in good shape, but he looked to first base before he made the exchange from the glove to the hand. And when you do that, for some reason, it's just tough to make that exchange. You always got to take a double reach in there, and then by that time, his momentum had carried him across the foul line.
Should Mike Lowell have called him off?
You know, the only thing about that is you don't know how Mike Lowell is feeling in terms of his defense. You know, that normally on a play like that, your third baseman does come in and say, I got it, and just take the play. But I don't know how well he's moving in terms of coming in and going left and right on balls.
And I guess we can assume a guy like Lowell, who's been around so long, if he could have made that play, he would have called him off.
I think so, too. He's been in that position for a long time.
DeJesus struck out looking in the first inning. Lost the grip. 0-1. By the time that swing was over, he was holding onto the bat with one hand, in the wrong hand.
You'll see him do that. You'll see Mitch Meyer do that occasionally also. It's amazing they can even hold on to the bat when that happens.
Sometimes the top hand comes off.
Which should.
But that time the bottom hand came off.
Which shouldn't.
One and one.
It is amazing. I don't know how that happens.
John Buck at second base, a 1-out single. Unievsky Betancourt at first with a 2-out single. It's 1-2 on DeJesus. Beckett not only with the good velocity, but a fastball that is riding away from DeJesus. Even though he throws anywhere from 92 to 97, I'll bet it seems faster than that to a hitter with that slow, deliberate motion. The ball just explodes out of his hand. That one at 97, 2-2.
David's bottom hand came off that time, too. It's almost like he thought that pitch was going to be inside, but like you said, it had that good movement and it moved back out over the plate, but he gave up on it as soon as it came out of Beckett's hand.
Still 2-2.
After that pitch before inside, this is where Victor Martinez wants this pitch. And if Beckett's really on, that's where it's going to be. But you see the movement that goes back out over the plate. It really gave David a great opportunity to square this ball up. The only thing that you want to do there is if you want that ball that far off the plate, that means he's got the movement, so he needs to start it at David and have him move back in and catch the inside corner. Or you go with a straight four-seamer which stays straight, and you go right for the target with that pitch.
Martinez with the tape on the fingers so that Beckett can pick up the signs up against the gray jerseys. 3-2, and some of the fans here tonight oohing and awing after that pitch for a couple of reasons. It was in the upper 90s and it was close. The runners go. We'll stay at 3 balls, 2 strikes. David has the most experience of all the Royals against Beckett. He has 18 at-bats with his strikeout in the first inning and only 3 hits. Everyone else in the lineup, 14 at-bats or less. Runners take off again, and to Jesus. Hits it right to Gonzalez. High throw, but the tag is applied. Royals have stranded 4 in the first 2 innings. Now the Royals have had 4 base runners against Josh Beckett in the first 2 innings, but they have stranded 4, and now Luke Hochevar, who walked 2 in the second inning, back to work in the third, and a strike on Alex Gonzalez. 1 out of 5 with a walk and a run scored Monday and Tuesday. No balls, 2 strikes. Gonzalez began the year with the Reds, but the Royals didn't see him when Cincinnati was here. He was on the disabled list. He had right elbow surgery, a very minor procedure, but was out for a while. And then when he was healthy, traded to the Red Sox. Deep right center field. The ball is carrying, and Mitch Meyer's going to have to play it off the wall. Oh, we just mentioned it last inning. No harm yet. But when Hochevar had his troubles against the Red Sox back in July, it was base hits with 2 strikes.
Just a matter of making a quality pitch. This ball's right down the middle of the plate, and Gonzalez stays right on it and drives it. And Mitch, he'd make that good effort to get there. But that ball was, like you say, Ryan, carried well over his head and up against the wall in right center field.
Runner at second, nobody out. Jacoby Ellsbury struck out looking his first time. He is just 1 for 9 now in the series. Royals ready for a bunt, and he lays it down foul. Not sure if that was a sac bunt or a bunt for a base hit. He squared very late.
I think he just didn't want to give it away. I mean, if you have the ability to wait till the last minute, even if whether you're sacrificing or bunt for a base hit with his speed, he could get some base hits out of some of those. That pitch was up and away, and very difficult pitch to bunt.
Now he's down, no balls, 2 strikes. I was going to say he has only 6 sacrifice bunts, but the way the game is played today, really that isn't that small of a number. The league leader is 13. And here we are now with less than 2 weeks to go in the regular season. And the league leader in sacrifice bunts in the American League has 13. That's all.
But you never know how many times he didn't get it done. And we've seen at least 6 attempts, but they didn't get the job done. So that they don't keep track of those.
Well, nowadays they keep track of everything. And Jacoby Ellsbury in the American League has the 2nd best batting average with the count 0-2. One ball, 2 strikes. He does not walk very often, and that delayed the Red Sox move to put him as the leadoff man. He has everything else. He's a good hitter. He has great speed, developing some power, just doesn't walk enough. He has 43 walks, but he's a very good hitter with 2 strikes. Down on strikes again against Hochevar tonight. So Ellsbury fails to move the runner. 1 down. Hochevar has struck out 3.
This is a really good breaking ball here, Ryan. I mean, the bottom drops out of this pitch, and Ellsbury swung right over the top of it.
And up comes Dustin Pedroia, rolled out to shortstop in the 1st inning. He has been on base all over the place against the Royals this year. In this series, 3 hits, 4 walks. He had 9 hits against the Royals in a series in Boston back in July. Off of his foot. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Now, you will not ever see a stance anywhere near Kevin Youkilis.
He's even practicing it. He's not on deck. He's in the hole, which means he's the guy behind the guy on deck, and he's still practicing that.
It's all about the rhythm.
Yeah, that fencing pose like stance. One ball, 2 strikes.
It's almost like he knows we're talking about it.
I'm just messing with those Kansas City guys. Now, some hitters and pitchers don't want to give away their secrets, but I asked Kevin Youkilis last year why he has that odd stance. Is there a reason why he holds the top hand the way he does? And he says, no, not really. Okay. No more questions. Well, that hurt Pedroia. It also hurts Hochevar. He was ahead 1-2. So a double from Gonzalez on an 0-2 pitch, and now a hit batter on a 1-2.
Well, one of the worst places to get hit is right in the back. And that never feels good at all.
Now, the sound that made, I think that hit that elbow pad he has on.
Oh, boy. Got a little bit of both.
I mean, that didn't sound like flesh or bone. Listen to this. So that was a well-placed elbow guard. Doesn't mean it didn't sting, but could have been a lot worse.
And when you go back to that pitch, Ryan, it goes back we were talking about when you want to throw the ball inside. Now, what are you trying to get accomplished there? Are you trying to throw your 2-seamer where it runs inside, that means you got to start it further out over the plate to get it to run in and get the inside corner. If you want to go inside, then you go inside with your four-seamer. It stays straight, and you go right to the target.
John Buck pointing his glove out at Hochevar to say, hey, it wasn't called a strike, but that's exactly where we want that pitch. Martinez lined to center his first time up. He has hit in 21 straight games. Up the middle, Betancourt picks it off to the bag. Double play. Through her leadership of the Good Shepherd Manor Guild. Under Velma's leadership, the Guild provides financial and emotional support to men and women of Community of the Good Shepherd. And enjoying the game from the Buck O'Neill Legacy seat at tonight's game. And enjoying good pitching so far with no score to the bottom of the third inning. Royals have stranded 4 in the first 2 against Josh Beckett. Mitch Meyer singled, stole a base in the first with 2 outs. Brian Pena walked, but Beckett got out of that. And then Buck and Betancourt singled in the second inning, but the Royals came up empty in the second. It'll be Meyer, Butler, and Pena in the bottom of the third inning. Strikeout number 3. Here's tonight's Roadrunner Turbo Speed Pitch comparison. Beckett up to 97. Hochevar at 92. That's through the first 2 innings. You can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. Billy Butler, a strikeout victim in the first inning. His heart skipped at least 1 beat on that pitch. He was convinced that was a fastball inside. And a curveball almost hit the inside part of the plate. Billy now 0 for 8 with 5 strikeouts against Beckett. 2-0.
Well, you can see Billy doesn't look quite as comfortable, like he's just trying to get an early start to be ready for that fastball and getting a little bit more out front than he normally is.
through the left side. So Billy's first ever hit against Beckett, 1 on, 1 out. Here's tonight's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. And last night we showed you several of Zach Greinke's American League rankings, and Josh Beckett is up there. You don't hear about his name for Cy Young, but still one of the best in the American League. And against the Royals, 4-0 with a 1.9 ERA. The Royals know all about him. You don't need to put those numbers on the blackboard in the clubhouse.
Now, most hitters keep a book, and they know the pitchers they have the toughest time with, and the ones they have to figure out. And a guy like Josh Beckett, when he's pitching, you just want to get a man on base and maybe create some hit and run situations, try to open the game up a little bit. Otherwise, if you play just a conventional game against him, it's going to be a low-scoring game, and you're going to have to outscore him to beat him. That's going to be tough to do.
Youkilis stopped. Looked like he might have had a play, but let that ball get by him. So Pena with a single, and for the third straight inning, the Royals have 2 base runners.
Well, he bounces off like he should here, and I don't know whether he thought he was going to run into the runner or what made him stop right there. You know, Billy stops just a little bit, and then I don't know. I can't explain that one.
Well, the Royals will take it. So Pena on base for the second time. Alberto Callaspo flied to right in the first inning.
The only thing I can think of there is maybe he thought he was going to run into Billy Butler by going for that ball, because the ball was to the right of Billy, and he didn't want to run into him. And I can't explain it any other way than that.
Callaspo's average with runners in scoring position is in the top 10 in the American League. So the Royals with 5 hits and 2 1/3 innings against Beckett. Back in July, they had 3 hits in 9 innings. Martinez to the screen, and he runs out of room. Well, 2 of the best are in this series as far as driving and runs this month. Jason Bay with 21, then Callaspo. And we'll see Michael Kadire on Friday, as the Twins will be in here for 3. And those are the final 3 home games for the Royals. With 1 out, Butler and Pena back-to-back singles. Callaspo strikes out. So Beckett has struck out 4, 2 away. That is the 3rd time he's gotten a strikeout with the curveball, and the 2nd time with a curveball like that one that starts outside. The left-hand hitter gives up on it, and it bends in for a strike. Martin grounded back to the mound in the 2nd inning. Up the middle, and Pedroia flips to second. The Royals have stranded 6 in 3 innings against Beckett. Youkilis line to left in the second. 1 for 10 in the series. Hochevar has given up only 1 hit in the 3 innings. 4 base runners, 2 walks, and a hit batter. And Youkilis strikes out on 3 pitches. That's 4 for Luke. Not sure if they're saying Uke or Luke.
This is a real good slider here with 2 strikes, and Youkilis had no chance on this pitch. And this is all you want to do. You just want to make it tempting enough to get the hitter to chase, and it didn't bounce. It was just a good pitch from Luke Hochevar.
And Jason Bay tied up. And Tien doesn't quite get there. 0-1. '20th ranked KU tries to make it 4-0 on Saturday on Fox Sports Kansas City when the Jayhawks host fellow unbeaten Southern Miss. You can catch it live as part of a Big 12 doubleheader. Southern Miss and KU followed by UTEP at Texas. Coverage starts at 10:30 a.m. with the Big 12 kickoff show here on Fox Sports Kansas City. 0-2 to Jason Bay, walked in the second inning. Don't notice it as much with the bases empty, but Kevin Schenk pointed out last inning with men on base, it appeared that Luke's tempo a little slower than it was in his last start. Now that start was against Mark Burley, and Mark Burley works very fast. There's Luke's 5th strikeout, and I asked Luke after the shutout if that rubs off on the other pitchers, and he said maybe it does, but it wasn't something that he really noticed. Well, tonight he's going up against a pitcher that works slowly.
That's true, and that's a good changeup right there. They went down underneath Jason Bay's swing. So right now Luke is starting to feel a little more comfortable on the mound. But, you know, when I played, we had hitters who would take a guy like Mark Burley and try to break his timing, slow him down a little bit, and don't let him stay in that rhythm the entire game. And that's what hitters today don't do a very good job of, is breaking a pitcher's rhythm.
Ortiz, a 4-pitch walk in the second inning. No balls, 2 strikes. Never fair. Way out in front. That's where John Buck wanted it. There's really nothing David Ortiz can do with that pitch except that.
Woo, look out, fans.
Watch your lips applies to the fans too, right?
All the time, because they're head high. Most of the time, little balls coming into the seats.
Off of Hochevar's glove, but who else is there to get it when Ortiz is at the plate? Unievsky Betancourt. Hochevar gets his Sox in order in the 4th. George Brett figurine. And on Sunday, one lucky fan will win the chance to be treated like royalty in 2010. Friday night, 7:10. Saturday, 6:10. And Sunday afternoon at 1:10. Well, the Royals haven't had a lack of base runners in the first 3 innings. 2 in each of the first 3, but all 6 stranded. John Buck singled in the second inning. That's his first ever hit against Beckett. 1 ball, 1 strike. Royals with 5 hits. Beckett has walked 1. John Buck, Alex Gordon, Yuniesky Betancourt coming up. One and two.
Well, that swing there was, I think I'll hit this one on I-70. I mean, he really let go with that swing, and then he goes back to when he got his base hit. He just shortened up and just tried to stay back through the middle.
Hit hard past Lowell. So John Buck is 2 for 2.
When you take a look at this swing, it looks a lot different than the swing before when he tried to go for it all. So, you know, John Buck's strong enough that he could be in that approach all the time and still have a lot of success as a hitter. It's when he gets out of control and gets long, it's when he has trouble. But he was able to keep that ball fair and get a double inside the bag just by cutting the swing down and not trying to be overly aggressive.
All the base runners tonight. That's the first leadoff man to reach. Alex thought about bunting. Takes a fastball at 96 for strike 1.
Well, right there, what you see is a hitter who's thinking about bunting but not totally committed to bunting. And then when the pitch goes by, it looks like a pitch that if I wasn't bunting, I could have taken a good swing. Or if I am bunting, it's a good pitch to try to bunt. So he just got caught in the middle. His sacrificing is a total sellout. You got to say, I'm out. I'm going to get this guy over. Then I'll go to first. Same as bunting for a base hit. It's a little differently. You got to make sure you get a good pitch to hit if you're going to bunt for a base hit.
Took something off of it, 0-2. Six hits for the Royals in less than 4 innings, but no runs yet. That'll move the runner. Youkilis thought about throwing to third. He'll get Alex, so a productive out. Runner at third, 1 away.
And nice job getting it done there. Alex stayed with it, got him a pitch to pull on the ground on first base, and that's good execution. That's fundamental baseball at its best right there. That's one of those sacrifices you make for your ball club. You go back to the dugout, everybody's up, patting you on the back, saying, way to go, way to give yourself up for the ball club.
Now the Red Sox might have to be alive for a squeeze. Betancourt takes strike 1. It was during the Chicago series that Trey Hillman went with the suicide squeeze early in the game, and he used Betancourt. Betancourt with an infield single in the second inning. Now he's 4 for 11 against Beckett, so he has had some hits. Base hit instead. Royals take the lead, and this is going to roll all the way to the wall. And Betancourt wants 3. He's got it.
You know, that high fastball that Betancourt just hit there, he hammered this ball. I mean, this ball was a line drive right over shortstop, and this ball goes all the way to the wall. So that gives you an idea of how hard he got, how fast he got on top of that ball, got through the ball, and created that backspin to get this ball to roll all the way to the wall. This ball is absolutely hammered.
So runner at third, one out. David DeJesus is 0 for 2. He has struck out and grounded out to short. Betancourt driving in his 44th of the year. Shallow right center field. Ellsbury won't get there. Betancourt will come to the plate. It's 2-0.
This swing by David right here, this ball right here, Ryan, this is hit about the trademark. It really wasn't hit that well. It was just well placed. Ellsbury's playing on the left field side of second base, and David just floated this ball right out there in right center field. So really, a right fielder, Drew, would probably have the best shot at a ball like that. But that's what it's just called good placement.
And now Mitch Meyer, who is singled. Helped Beckett out there. Infield single in the first inning. Stole his 8th base, and Beckett struck him out in the 3rd. So Josh Beckett has given up 8 hits in less than 4 innings. Remember, he gave up 3 in 9 innings of the Royals in July. And his career ERA against KC coming into tonight's game was 1.9, and that was over 6 starts. So he has been absolutely dominant. That might be the throw over to first sign. It is, with Martinez sticking his thumb up. So the Red Sox bench thinking the Royals might have a play here. Want Beckett to remind DeJesus that he knows that he's there. DeJesus runs this time, and Meyer is way out in front. And he broke his bat. John Buck with a double to begin the inning. Alex Gordon got him over to third. Betancourt tripled him home. And DeJesus getting Betancourt to the plate. Well, John Buck, who had been 0 for 9 against Josh Beckett, is 2 for 2 tonight with a run scored. Two balls, 2 strikes. DeJesus runs again. Pitch is outside, and David is thrown out for the 9th time this year.
Well, he didn't have a very big lead at first base, and I guess he was just going because they probably didn't think he was going. But Victor Martinez made a nice throw on a nice pitch to handle and got David at second base.
Pretty good combination to run on. Beckett not that fast to the plate, and Martinez isn't the best thrower in the league, although he's gotten better. He had a terrible year in 06. The league just ran all over him. There were 3 games when Martinez was catching for the Indians in 06 where the opponent stole 6 bases, 6 in 1 game. But the very next year in 2007, Martinez came back and he had the 3rd best caught stealing percentage in the league. Myers still live at 3-2. There we go. Now there's going to be a fight over that ball for the next 5 innings. So what does a Major League Baseball look like? Into right center. It's a 4-hit inning for the Royals. And that makes 9 in less than 4 innings against Beckett. Myers second of the night.
This fastball out over the plate. Mitch's been taking some good swings at Beckett. Just worked himself into a pitch that he can handle, fall off the tough pitches, and got a ball down in his zone and out over the plate, and really been swinging the bat well. He's worked his average back up over 250 and moving in the right direction.
Billy struck out in the first, singled in the third. Two and 0. Beckett was far from cruising in the first 3 innings. He had 3 scoreless innings, but the Royals had 2 on in the first, 2 on in the second, and 2 on in the third. All were stranded. They've had 4 base runners and 2 runners home in this inning. Hit hard to left field. Butler has his second hit. Meyer will go first to third. Royals have 10 hits against Beckett. Out comes pitching coach John Farrell.
Well, when you get a hit in the count as a hitter, you can wait for your pitch. And Billy's got 2 base hits on a 2-0 count. And this ball stayed up. He got inside of it. And Mitch did an outstanding job of base running right here. He saw Jason Bay going to his left, and they wouldn't have the proper footwork to throw him out at third. He just continued to run. So he just never hesitated. Now the Royals like just a completely different ball club. And I think we'll be scratching our heads until spring training to figure out why it took to September to get to this point.
Well, it's been very bittersweet. The sweet, obviously, Royals have turned it up again in September at 13-7. The bitter part is the Royals are more injured now than they have been most of the season. So the most common fan question is, why couldn't the Royals play like this in May, June, July, and August?
Well, I know injuries a lot of times depends on who the injuries occur to can affect your wins and losses, but it really shouldn't affect how you play the game. And I just look at the aggressiveness that the Royals are utilizing right now on the field. They're making the plays. They're hitting their cutoff man. They're being aggressive, going base to base. They're doing the things that injuries shouldn't have an effect on when you go on the baseball field. And I think that's why, I'm having a lot more fun watching them now, because they're doing a lot of the things aggressively that you expect the ball club to do at this level.
2-0 on Brian Pena. He has walked and singled against Beckett. Beckett's next pitch will be number 80. So do the math. That's 20 pitches per inning. So the Royals aren't just hitting him hard, they're wearing him down. Right to Pedroia. Royals come up with 2 runs in the 4th inning. And in the first 4 innings combined, the Royals have 10 hits. John Buck opened the inning with a double. Betancourt tripled him home. De Jesus getting Betancourt to the plate. Four scoreless innings, so that's 13 going back to his last start.
Well, it's good to see Luke doing what he's doing tonight. He's matching Josh Beckett inning for inning, and you know the big number now, Ryan, is 8 men left on base so far in the game by the Royals. You know that means that they've had men on base every inning, but they've been able to squeak through 2 runs. But it could be a lot better for them right now.
Luke with 5 strikeouts, including 2 in the last inning, getting Youkilis and Bay. Josh Beckett has not had an outing like this against the Royals. 2-1. Mike Lowell struck out in the 2nd inning. J.D. Drew after him, and then Alex Gonzalez.
I mean, the Royals pitching has brought the Red Sox to almost a screeching halt. You know, they came in playing some real good baseball, and that just tells you when you pitch well, you can get good hitters out.
Betancourt throws out Lowell. So Hochevar with 4 1/3 scoreless. James B. Nutter and company will show us his pitch count. He is at 69. Little less than 2-1 strike to ball ratio. 2 walks, a hit batter to go along with his 5 strikeouts. He has only given up 1 hit. J.D. Drew grounded back to Hochevar, who went to the line to tag him out. A couple of guys here who have the same agent, and early in their professional careers were known more for what they didn't do as opposed to what they did. J.D. Drew was drafted by the Phillies in the 1st round. Betancourt can't quite get that one. Decided to play independent baseball instead, then signed with the Cardinals. Luke Hochevar was drafted by the Dodgers in the 1st round. Decided not to sign, played independent ball, and then signed with the Royals.
This is almost a carbon copy of that leap that he made last night, and it just didn't come down with this one. I told him they put me beside him last night in a split screen and see which one of us could jump the highest, and I told him I got him by a little bit. I can't concede that, can I?
Sure.
I've got to hold on to it a little bit.
Well, I ran into Fred White for the game tonight, and I believe Fred probably saw you play as much, if not more, than anyone else next to Denny, and he said there is no contest. And I told Fred, I said, Frank said in between innings that he was good to his left and his right, but he wasn't so good at jumping straight up. And Fred was shocked to hear that. Fred told me that you used to, in the clubhouse, be able to, in a standing position, jump straight up, and you could hit your elbows on the roof of something. I don't know if it was the clubhouse or the dugout or
probably something hanging down from the clubhouse, but I didn't quite get my elbows there. But I took 2 steps. I had to take 2 steps. You know, that's the only way I could do it. I don't know. Even in basketball in high school, I couldn't run and jump high, but I could always take 2 steps and go straight up. So when all the big guys were going down and dunking the basketball, then I would dribble in real fast, take 2 steps, go up, then dunk. And then the crowd would go nuts, and I'd run off the floor.
Off the end of the bat. That's a big break for Gonzalez on a good pitch by Hochevar. So 2 on 1 out. Jacoby Ellsbury comes up. He has struck out twice against Hochevar. This is his strikeout back in the first. It's tonight's Arby's pitch by pitch.
Well, Luke started real sharp. He came out throwing strikes right away. Got the ball down underneath his swing, and then got him with a fastball that he fouled away, and then he just locked him up with a curveball on the outside corner. Now, I was getting back to what you're talking about, Drew and Hochevar wanting to play independent ball. I just wonder if they were to look back on those decisions that they made back in those days, would they say they're better off now, or would they have been better off had they went ahead and signed, got into pro ball, and gotten their careers going a lot earlier? So that would be a debatable question that each guy would probably have. I don't know if you get an honest answer on that one.
Well, at least for J.D. Drew, I don't know how much money he was holding out for when he wouldn't sign with the Phillies, but I think he's made it back by now.
Oh, definitely. He's been besieged by a lot of injuries, and there was some that say he had some back problems, a lot of things that happened with him. They didn't know if he was going to be worth the money that the Red Sox signed him for. But it looks like he's starting to battle back a little bit and show some signs of being the productive player that they signed.
Left center field and trouble. Gonzalez around third base. Ellsbury to third. The Royals weren't ready for it. Ellsbury holds. Royals had a shot to get the runner at third, but didn't look like there was much communication for a throw to third. Either way, Ellsbury ties the game.
No, Ryan, there's really no excuse for the cutoff and relay guys not to know exactly what they want to throw. You see where Caspo here it is looking back to home plate. Well, he should have been really looking to Ellsbury as he goes to third base. This is where he's got to let Betancourt know right away whether he's going to go 4 or 3. And if he lets him throw know right there that this ball is going to third base, then he's got him at third base. You saw the hesitation in Betancourt as if he had no play anywhere. So in his mind, he's saying Ellsbury's at second base, the runners cross the plate, let's run the ball in. But the trail guy watches the base runners, and the lead guy receives the throw, listening to the trail guy tell him where to throw the ball.
So he has jumped over to Jesus to take the league lead in triples, and now he's the go-ahead run. Royals have the infield in for Pedroia, who hits a laser beam into left field. So Boston did nothing for 4 innings, at least close to nothing. Royals get 2 in the 4th. Boston responds with 3 in the 5th.
But one of the things that Luke has done this inning that he hadn't done is he's left the ball in the middle of the plate. And lead the ball in the middle of the plate to a good hitting ball club, and they're going to take advantage of it.
So Bob McClure out to talk to Luke, and we talk to Joel.
The Royals were 9 games behind Cleveland, Ryan, back on September 7th. They are now a game and a half ahead of them. Now, how did that happen? Well, you know how well the Royals have played. Cleveland, over the last 14 games, is 1-13. They're getting blown out tonight, so they're going to go most likely 1-14. But it's not just how they've been losing; it's how it's the ways and the lack of winning and leads that they've had. They have gone now 7 straight games without a lead. Think about that. Not just trailing, 7 straight games without ever having a lead, over 16 innings without leading in a game. Last time they had a lead was September 15th, guys.
Joel, did you say September 7th?
September 7th, the Royals were 9.5 games behind Cleveland. They are now a game and a half ahead of them.
That's just a little more than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, wow. And it's been over a week since the Indians have led in a game for 1 inning. Not even 1 inning.
Wow. Well, last year when the Royals passed the Tigers on September the 1st, the Tigers were 8.5 games in front of the Royals. So a perfect combination of the Royals playing very well and the team in front of them playing very bad.
Well, it gives you an indication that Cleveland may be already at home in their mind, you know, when you're playing that way. I mean, when you don't score any runs at all and you don't have any leads in any games, you'd have to question whether or not the guys are motivated properly to come out and play every day.
They'll be at home watching this guy, their former teammate, Victor Martinez, in the playoffs, who has a 22-game hitting streak. And all of a sudden, the Red Sox are hitting bullets all over the field against Hochevar.
Well, we're going to go back and take a look at all the hits this inning and see where Payton wants the ball and where the pitches are. Here, this is a real good pitch that Drew hits right here. And that after that, it's about getting it out over the plate. And this is the triple here by Ellsbury. The first 2 runs they drove in. This is the base hit from Pedroia. And this pitch out over the plate from Martinez. So in all that series of hits, I'd say he made 2 good pitches that they were able to get hits off of, but everything else in the middle of the plate.
Kevin Youkilis is lined to left and struck out.
You know, one of Luke's trademarks so far, one he needs to get rid of, is that one big inning. You know, just, I mean, you're really pitching well. You're in the game. Your team gives you a couple runs, and the Red Sox get a couple men on, and rather than stopping it right there like you did in the previous inning with the double play ball or whatever you need, then the game just starts to slowly get away. So that's been the one thing that Luke really has to focus on as he goes forward in his pitching career.
I guess the hitting equivalent would be you can go 0 for 3 and look really bad, but are you still ready to hit when you get your 4th at bat?
You got to get that big hit, and you get the big hit at the right time, then you have a pretty good night and it helps your ball club. But you just got to make sure you can just stop it from getting away from you. You know, as long as you can control it and keep your team in the game and give yourself a chance to win, that's fine. But when you feel it getting away from you and you can't corral it back in, that's when you have trouble.
Youkilis doesn't like that call. You might notice that arguments don't usually last very long with Ted Barrett, who is a former professional boxer and used to spar with George Foreman. He is also, the players say, one of the great guys as far as umpires. So a good guy and a former boxer. No swing.
Just keep an eye on the top of the bat, and if the bat doesn't come ahead of the wrist, then it's down a strike. So he did a good job holding that bat back. I wonder if George Foreman included him on that Foreman Grill contract.
Let me just beat you up for a little while.
If you asked Ted about that, he'd probably think it was a thrill.
Pedroia's base hit, driving in a run, giving him a 15-game hitting streak. And Victor Martinez base hit in this inning gives him a 22-gamer. This is an important pitch here to get out number 2. Maybe even get a double play if they can make the right pitch. On deck is Jason Bay, who has 36 home runs, 113 RBIs. Laid off at this time. That same pitch struck out. Buechel is back in the 4th. And they're loaded up for Jason Bay. And Trey Hillman on the phone to the bullpen. That's Luke's 3rd walk. So Pedroia, Martinez, and Youkilis on for Bay. Shallow left center field. Nobody's going to get there. It'll score 2. Red Sox have come up with 5 in the 5th. Didn't hit it hard, Frank, but the pitch was up.
Well, they say sometimes you can't be afraid to get jammed, and if you get jammed and get it over the infield, you got a chance for a base hit, and this is what happens here. Jason Bay, even though he got jammed, he was able to take a full swing and get through the ball, and that was enough to carry it to the outfield. That's a good pitch by Luke, and he'll go back and look and say, I made a good pitch, but Jason Bay was able to figure it out and get a base hit out of it.
So Victor Marte not only warming up, but warming up quickly. And Ortiz over Butler. It's a 6-run inning. And Jason Bay goes first to 3rd. All of this started with 1 out. Mike Lowell grounded out to short. The Royals just scored 2 in the bottom of the 4th. And Hochevar was working on his 14th consecutive scoreless inning, going back to his last start. And now 8 straight have reached base. And
coming into this inning, he'd only given up 1 hit, and I think that's the puzzling thing. But that's kind of like you talk about trends, and that's one of Hochevar's trends right now. That he has to change some kind of way. He did it in his last start, but he's got to make sure that when these things start to happen to him, he can slow the game down, get his composure back, and just stay in the game. Now the game has kind of gotten away from him, and now he's got to figure out a way to get out of this game.
And when you look on the bright side, if that's what you want to do, Luke Hochevar and the Royals can say, well, he only had 1 bad inning. But at this level, 1 bad inning can mean the game.
That's the whole game. Like last night, the 5-run first, that was it for the whole game. So
Paul Bird pitched well after that first inning, but it was too late.
And that's one of those things where the old timers say, well, he pitched good, but he pitched well enough to lose. And I think that's what's happening with Luke right now. He pitched well up until the 5th. But then then all of a sudden the game starts to slow to get away from you. So you got to be able to take that momentum that you built to get to that 5th inning and just pitch through those middle innings.
Well, this has been such a good inning for the Red Sox that Mike Lowell has a chance to make 2 outs in the same inning. But if he does, it will not be the 3rd out. How many times do we say a guy has a chance to make the 1st and last out of the inning? Lowell with a chance to make the 1st and 2nd out of the inning. 28 pitches in this inning. He didn't have more than 22 in any of the first 4. And a chance for 2. So Lowell makes all 3 outs in the inning. But his teammates score 6. Of soup, salad, sandwiches, and savory breakfast items. Panera Bread, where every detail matters. Now, Luke Kochaver was just sailing along for the first 4 innings. And then he watched his Royals score 2 in the bottom of the 4th against Josh Beckett. And then Luke got the first out at the top of the 5th. And then the roof caved in. 8 straight reached, 6 scored. Cayaspo 0 for 2. Now the good ones, and Josh Beckett is one of the good ones. When something like this happens, they take their game to another level. They can smell victory, and it's almost as if they not only take a hold of the game from this point forward, but they've got an iron grip on it.
Well, that's why he's got 15 wins, Ryan. His ERA is only 3.8, so he's not giving up a lot. So, I mean, it's just one of those deals where he's done it so many years. He knows how to do it. He's pitched championship games, and he knows when he has that advantage. And you go from giving up hits, now you're down by 2 runs, and all of a sudden you turn around, you hit 6-2. That gets those guys really excited.
Beckett has struck out 5. Martin has grounded out twice. Well, one thing Beckett has not done in the first 4 innings is, the Royals had a lot of base runners. In fact, 11 in the first 4 innings, but he prevented the big inning. Royals stranded 2 in each of the first 4 innings. They've left 8 on base.
And that's what you have to do as a pitcher, as you get good about your game.
Long run for Ellsbury, but he has great speed. Tien didn't get all of it. 2 down. The Royals' last Fireworks Friday is coming up in a couple of nights, with the Minnesota Twins coming to town for a 7-10 game. And after the game, the Finer Fireworks Spectacular presented by IV and Pepsi.
I think guys like Beckett, when they get situations like that, I think they just basically don't panic. I think they trust their stuff. They know what they need to do. That they know if they keep the game close, and with that offense they have, you got a chance to win the game. So the bottom line, the 8 runs left on, I think in the first 4, and then he was able to just come out and just do what he had to do to keep the Royals from really getting away in this game.
2 good swings from John Buck, both back into the screen, and John Buck had been 0 for 9 against Beckett coming into tonight, but he has a single, a double, and a run scored. Well, there you go. When does Beckett come up with his first 1, 2, 3 inning? Right after his team scores 6. Four scoreless innings. J.D. Drew with 1 out, singled. Alex Gonzalez followed with a single. Jacoby Ellsbury a 2-run triple. Dustin Pedroia RBI single. Victor Martinez with a base hit, 22-game hitting streak with that. Jason Bay 2-run single, and David Ortiz driving in the 6th run. Coors Light Freeze Cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. So Marte gets J.D. Drew, Alex Gonzalez, and Jacoby Ellsbury. J.D. 1 for 2. Singled with a run scored. We were talking right before J.D. Drew's base hit about the pros and cons, and I think you and I both agree that not just for the organization but also for the player, there are more cons of sitting out a year after you're drafted, or even sitting out the year you are drafted and not playing until the next year. And you can call it karma, you can call it the baseball gods frowning upon players who do that, but it really hasn't worked out. There isn't a long list of guys where that has benefited a player. Now, J.D. Drew has made a lot of money, but he hasn't quite been the player that everyone thought he would be. He was a guy that many organizations thought would be a 30-30 type player, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases.
And the reason they hold out is money anyway. I mean, a lot of times they say, well, I don't want to play for that particular team, but basically what they're saying is I want to make more money. And that's, otherwise they wouldn't sit out a year. They go on and get in the pro ball and make their money when they get to the major leagues.
Drew takes a walk. And up comes Alex Gonzalez. And if Luke Hochevar is going through the 5th inning in his head, I would imagine that the most frustrating hitter for him would be Gonzalez, because he made a good pitch to Gonzalez, who just hit it off the end of the bat and blooped it into right field. So if Gonzalez is out, well, now you have J.D. Drew at first base with 2 away. Instead, a base hit for Gonzalez, and the Red Sox were off and running. Eight consecutive Red Sox reached against Hochevar after Lowell's ground out to begin the inning.
And I would give him 2 hitters in that inning where he did make good pitches. The pitch that Drew was down and away, and he got a little soft liner in the left field, and then Gonzalez's base hit. Those are 2 of the best pitches he made that inning, where he had nothing to show for, but it just sort of went downhill from there.
Good point. That could have been a 1-2-3 inning. In on the hands, and Betancourt is out into shallow left field. 1 out. J.D. Drew back to first base. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ball 1 to Ellsbury, who struck out in his first 2 at-bats. His second strikeout coming with a runner at second and nobody out. But in the 5th, his triple scored Drew and Gonzalez, and that tied the game at 2. And the Red Sox went on to score 4 more. 1-1.
Yeah, and the Royals really, with a little better communication on the cutoff and relay, they could have gotten out there at third base and saved themselves a little more pain that inning. You just have to be able to, when you have an inning like that, it's not all pitching. Sometimes a lot of things got to come into play for an inning like that to keep going, and for Caspo and Betancourt not to communicate on that cutoff and relay, where Betancourt got the ball and didn't know what to do with it, and they obviously had to play at third, and that didn't look too good either.
The little things that add up to big things.
That's what I get for being so complimentary. You just never know.
2-2. Well, that was something that Trey Hillman preached quite a bit in his first year as Royals manager, and especially in spring training. He wanted everyone, including the broadcasters, to stop calling those things little things. Because if you call them little things, you're going to treat them like little things. But a lot of times they're not little things.
Well, they've been called little things for the history of baseball, so it's kind of.
Ellsbury is out at first base, 2 down.
It's so hard for that terminology to change, and I think that everybody understands what it means. Billy goes well to his right here, and he gets his good balance, and he just works his way back to first base and gives Marte a nice throw head high, which is what those pitchers need when they're coming in trying to look for the ball and tag the base at the same time. mean, you can call them fundamental things. You can think of some other names you can call them, but bottom line, these guys have been playing the game long enough to understand what little things mean, and I think that it's just one of those things where you just got to get better at it. The better the players, the better you are at it. Now, that's never going to change in the game.
Maybe not necessarily change the wording of the little things, but maybe change the importance of the little things, and not say, for instance, in batting practice, you know, you and I have talked about this many times. You know, you watch guys bunt during batting practice. Well, they treat it like it's a little thing. Well, you get up in the 8th inning with a runner at second base and nobody out. It's not a little thing anymore. Now it's a big thing.
Well, you got somebody throwing 95 miles an hour too, and you're trying to get a sack bunt down that you didn't really pay attention to in your early work. And if you do this from first day of spring training to September, then you should be pretty good at it. But only if you just take it seriously in batting practice. That's where it all starts. Because a lot of guys assume that I'm not going to be asked to bunt, and when the numbers call, now there's a whole lot of panic going on in your system because you're not quite ready for it.
And then that tape recorder begins to play in a guy's head. Man, I wish I would have taken those bunts more seriously this past month during batting practice, because I need to get this thing down.
And I think that's going to become more and more part of this game as the home run totals start to go down.
Now that the vitamins are out of the game?
Oh, boy. You remember those Flintstone vitamins?
Yeah.
That's where the power, where the power comes from.
I stopped taking those after college. 3-1 on Pedroia. Flintstones vitamins, Ovaltine.
Oh, yeah.
Spinach. All those little twists to try and get kids to think and eat healthy. Three and two. Pedroia driving in a run in that 6-run 5th inning. He's hit in 15 straight games and hitting right around .420 in his career against the Royals. That is by far the highest average of any active major leaguer. Two walks in the inning for Marte. And now all he has to do is get through Victor Martinez, who has a 22-game hitting streak, and this might be hard to watch. Martinez has driven in 3 in this series, getting him over 100. Back in 07 with the Indians, he drove in 114, and that was the year that the Indians were 1 game away from going to the World Series. They had a 3-1 advantage over the Red Sox of all teams in the championship series, but the Indians couldn't win that 4th game. Boston came back and then went on to beat Colorado in the World Series. Two and 0. Marte in relief of Luke Hochevar, who had 4 excellent innings, and with a 2-0 lead in the 5th, retired the first hitter, but then the Red Sox scored 6. That's the 4th time in this series that we've had an inning of 5 or more runs. To first, Butler backs up to Marte. So 2 walks, no runs given up by Marte in the 5th.
Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Kirk will win $500. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Kirk will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
And that's exactly what the Royals would need to tie the game. The Royals with 2 in the 4th, Boston with 5 in the 5th. Alex Gordon, Yuniesky Betancourt, and David DeJesus in the 6th inning. Alex 0 for 2. Beckett labored for the first 4 innings. The Royals stranded 6 in the first 3 and then scored 2 in the 4th, but stranded 2 more. So 8 left on base in the first 4 innings. And then in the top of the 5th, the Red Sox scored 6 runs, and then Beckett with a 1-2-3 bottom of the 5th. One and 2.
I think that was the one thing you pointed out that really stands out, is the fact that he was able to go out there that following inning and just 1, 2, 3 you out of the inning. And I think that's where the guy who's done it before and knows what he's doing every time he takes the mound and has that confidence, he can go out and do that. He seizes that momentum and he runs with it. It's almost like getting a second win or getting a second chance.
And now Frankie's retired 5 straight with 3 strikeouts. He has 7. That matches his total against the Royals back in July when he threw a shutout. 3 hits in 9 innings, 7 strikeouts. He's had trouble with Yuniesky Betancourt. A single and an RBI triple.
You know, Beckett's not unlike a lot of good starters that have pitched in this game of baseball. A lot of them have a hard time getting started in a game, but once they get going, they get better as they go. And he was able to just keep the Royals off the board to any sizable degree early, and then when he got a chance to take the lead and get hit his stride, and they just get better as the game goes.
Kind of like a slow moving train. If you want to jump on, you better jump on early. Because once that thing gets going.
Yeah, Dennis Leonard was like that too. If you can get him in the first couple of innings, you got him. But after that, he just gets better.
Betancourt is 3 for 3. So 1 on, 1 out. And with the home schedule winding down on Saturday, first 20,000 fans are going to get the final of the replica Hall of Fame figurine set, the George Brett Hall of Fame figurine. Game time is 6:10, but the gates will open at 4 o'clock. Royals and Minnesota. DeJesus down around the end of the bat. J.D. Drew, like just about everyone in the ballpark, thought that ball was hit harder. He started back. So DeJesus is 1 for 4, 2 down. Final game of the series is tomorrow at 7:10. And tomorrow's game is in high definition, brought to you by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free. With digital cable, Royals live at 6:30 with Joel and Split. Anthony LaRue will make his Royals debut, and Clay Buchholz will start for the Red Sox. The Royals do have 11 hits against Beckett. Two of the hits from Mitch Meyer. Has a couple of singles and a stolen base, and now he matches Betancourt with a 3-hit night. So runners at first and second with 2 down. Well, like a lot of good pitchers we were just talking about, once they get started, they're tough to stop. And Beckett has a little bit of trouble third time through, but fourth time through the order, the league hitting just .237. And there aren't many guys that this applies to, that they stay in the game long enough to see the lineup 4 times, but only .237 against him. And now the Royals are 3 batters into that, with Butler batting with 2 outs, and Billy has 2 hits tonight. One and one. Now the Red Sox might be concerned with Beckett's pitch count as he's up over 100. Driven to right, but J.D. Drew is there. The Royals strand 2 more. They have left 10 on base in 6 innings against Beckett. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. So 6-2 Boston coming up in the 7th inning. Kevin Youkilis, 0 for 2. He walked and scored in the 6-run 5th inning. Red Sox tearing a page out of the Royals book, and perhaps only needing 1 inning tonight to score all the runs they need. Royals with 5 in the first last night, winning 5-1. Victor Marte's 2nd inning. Allowed a couple of walks in the 6th, but no runs. Luke Hochevar going the first 5, giving up 6 runs, 8 hits. It appears that Josh Beckett will come back out for the bottom of the 7th inning. He is just over 100 pitches, and Red Sox were busy in the bullpen as he was finishing off the 6th inning. And just as I'm about to say that they are no longer throwing in the bullpen, Hideki Okajima is back up on the hill. Three balls, 2 strikes. in on the hands and right to Alex at third base. One down in the 7th inning. Don't forget to visit the online shop of the Royals at Royals.com for the largest online selection of official caps, t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and more. You can shop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Royals.com shop. Ball one on Jason Bay. He had a 2-run single in that big 5th inning. That gives him 115 RBIs this year. Still second to Mark Teixeira of the Yankees, who has 118. Royals finish up the regular season on the road. They'll be in New York and then Minnesota. And in an extreme scheduling quirk, the Royals this year see the Yankees in their second series of the year and their second to last series of the year. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It's going to be good to see the new Yankee Stadium, to see what everybody's been talking about and see how homer friendly it really is.
Marte strikes out his first, 2 down in the 7th. So the Royals play the Yankees in game 4, 5, and 6. And then game number 157, 158, and 159. 151 games played in between. But this will not be a completely different Yankees team. We're so used to seeing the Yankees really load up and change the roster after the All-Star break, but they didn't really do anything. While other teams made changes, like the Red Sox, the Yankees, and there was no reason to change, but they pretty much stayed with the same guys.
Well, when you got 96 wins, why change? That's almost unheard of. These 96 wins, they got shot at 100 wins.
Well, they've done most of it in the second half. When we closed out the first half in Boston, the Red Sox won the last 3 of that series against the Royals, and the Yankees lost their last 3. Boston had a 3-game lead going into the break, but the Yankees, who have won tonight, are 29 games above 500 in the second half. Not all year, in the second half. 29 games above 500.
That's unbelievable, especially playing in the Eastern Division, and that's a tough road there. And I tell you, you just have to look at that team, and I would just say that's a team, Ryan, that every day they go to the ballpark, they expect to win. You know, even before the season started, the Yankees have always been a team that expects to win, and they got good leadership there, and they got a good mix of young players coming in, and they just put it all together. And CeCe came in, and he just took out, the first few starts for him and Teixeira both were booing type performances, and now they're beloved Yankees at this point.
Royals have really played Ortiz well with the shift. He is out, and the Red Sox down in order in the 7th. Oakland, but the Rangers are 7 back in the West, and they are 7 back in the wild card. So it is Hideki Okajima for the bottom of the 7th inning. They face Brian Pena, Alberto Callaspo, and Mark Tien. Let's see what he does with his first pitch. It's down and away, ball 1. His first pitch as a major leaguer was right here at Kauffman Stadium on opening day in 2007, and John Buck hit a home run to right center field. So welcome to the big leagues. That was an exciting day, 2007. Gil Mesh making his Royals debut after getting the big contract. Mesh beating Curt Schilling and the Red Sox. That was Alex Gordon's major league debut. Got a standing ovation when he came to the plate in the bottom of the 1st against Curt Schilling. Two and one to Pena, who has walked and singled. And Alex batting with the bases loaded against Curt Schilling. Fouled off several pitches. Schilling eventually got him out. But that had to have been a jolt for Alex. I mean, he's been a star every year he's played baseball, and he was aware that he was a big part of the Royals' future. But when he walked to the plate on opening day in 2007, and everyone, and I mean everyone, stood up and gave him a standing ovation for his first major league at bat. And Alex admitted later that season that it took him a while to get over that really felt a lot of pressure. And it really wasn't until early June of that 07 season that he got things going.
It's amazing. It's amazing how long things stay with you in this game. You know, you think that, okay, that was opening day. I got all the butterflies out of the way, so let's get on with the season. But it obviously took them a little longer to get over that standing ovation. Wow. I mean, I would have said, hey, you know, I'm a rookie. I'm facing Curt Schilling. He strikes me out. Okay, he's supposed to do that. So let's move on. You know, I wouldn't read a lot into that. You know.
I still get a chuckle when a situation like that comes up, and then after the game, someone will ask the player, "Did you notice the crowd?" "No, I really didn't notice the crowd." Okay. Sure.
Oh, my God. You can't help it.
Of course, Alex didn't say that. Alex says, "Oh, yeah, I noticed the crowd." A rare 2-strikeout game for Alberto Callaspo, one of the toughest in the American League to strike out. Josh Beckett striking out 7 in his 6 innings. The Royals with 12 hits against Beckett and only 2 runs. 10 runners left on base in those 6 innings. Not so fast, says home plate umpire Ted Barrett. Well, I don't know if he really said that.
Well, wait till I call the pitch before you leave the box. They don't like when you do that. They don't like you to umpire for them. They want to make that call before you leave.
And Callaspo a little more sure that that was a ball, so he's down to first with 1 out. Hideki Okajima. He is 6-0 out of the Red Sox bullpen, and that has some significance with a local twist. He is the first Red Sox lefty to have at least 6 wins out of the bullpen since 1982, when Tom Bergmeyer had 6 wins. Bergie played for the Royals, lives here in Kansas City, and he's the Royals AAA pitching coach. And Bergie played for like 28 years, didn't he?
I think it turned out to be about 17, maybe somewhere in there. He just played with a lot of teams.
I don't remember a whole lot about Bergie's career, but I do remember his baseball card, and for a lot of kids, that's how we learned about different players was collecting the baseball cards, and guys who had been around for a long time, the font on the back of the card was so small to accommodate all the years in the big leagues. And I used to just think that was the neatest thing to think, wow, look at how long this guy played.
Well, when you're a lefty reliever, you can play a long time if you can get left-handed hitters out. And he was a specialist for a long time. He could spot start. He did it. He did a lot of things. So great shape, great fielder.
I don't know if I've known anyone tougher than Berge since being part of the Royals organization. And I remember my first year with the Royals in '99, and Berge used to ride his bike from his home in Overland Park to Kauffman Stadium, which isn't right around the corner if you're not familiar with Kansas City. About 25 miles, and he was involved in an accident. He was hit by a car and suffered some pretty serious injuries, I think, including some broken bones. And he wanted to go to the ballpark. So he was away from the team for a while. Brian Polberg came up from the minor leagues as Royals bullpen coach, but he's a tough one and a straight shooter.
Oh, definitely. No hypothetical stuff with him. You'll ask him a hypothetical question, he'll say, it'll never happen. He just won't even go there with you. Hey, Berge, what do you think about it'll never happen? But what if? It'll never happen.
Mike Sweeney used to love to tell the story. People forget that Michael went to camp in '99 as the Royals' third catcher. I mean, he was barely in the Royals' plans at all, and just hanging on by a thread. And he asked Tom Bergmeyer what his chances were that year of breaking spring training with the Royals, and Berge looked him right in the eye and said 0.00. And Michael's turned that into a motivational speech where in some ways it was painful to hear, but it kind of took some of the pressure off of him that I'm just going to go and play hard and see what happens. And as luck would have it, he did make the club as a third catcher and a bat off the bench, and then Jeff King abruptly retired. Royals needed a first baseman, and the rest is history. But 0.00.
So if Berge had told him that, he probably would have kept pressing and maybe not as done as well in that spring and made the ball club. So he just, like you say, that's good. Some guys can use it as a tool to get better, and some guys can go completely the other way.
Well, he deserved a little ovation, giving a souvenir to the younger fan. Popped up to the right side. No, 2 down in the bottom of the 7th. Martian is 0 for 4. And Callaspo still at first base. And now Okajima against Buck. If you weren't with us at the beginning of the inning, we were going back to opening day on '07 when Hideki Okajima made his big league debut right here at Kauffman Stadium. His first big league pitch, John Buck hit out of the ballpark. This first pitch is pulled to third, and Lowell with the force on Callaspo. To the 8th at Kauffman Stadium. Royals still down by 4. Kochaver looked very good in the first 4 innings, giving up just 1 hit, striking out 5, but the Red Sox, with 1 out in the 5th, had 8 straight reach, 6 scored. The Red Sox went down from 2-0 to ahead 6-2, and the Royals with 12 hits against nemesis Josh Beckett, but could only turn that into 2 runs. And now Carlos Rosa is the 3rd Royals pitcher. Kochaver gave up all 6 in 5 innings. Victor Marte with 2 scoreless, and now Rosa to face Mike Lowell, J.D. Drew, and Alex Gonzalez. Maybe I've seen it before. If I have, I don't remember. But I can't immediately recall a hitter being responsible for all 3 outs in 1 inning. Now, I have seen a triple play before, so that's one example. But Mike Lowell made the first out of the 5th inning. Here he makes the first out of the 8th. And then 8 consecutive reached. And up came Lowell again, who had a chance to make the 2nd out. And typically it's the hitter making the 1st and 3rd out of the inning, but he had a chance to make the 1st and 2nd out. Well, he did better than that. He hit into a double play. So he was responsible for all 3 outs in the 5th.
And he just led off with an out. So 4 straight outs. There's some things as a hitter you just don't want. Want to be that guy to get 2 hits in an inning, or get a hit and a home run in the same inning, that type of thing, but never make those outs. You don't want to make those outs.
Two and one to J.D. Drew. A single, a walk, and a run scored. Oh, he showed you that the Yankees have already won. So they've won 97 games. And at the moment, Boston is 6.5 games back of New York. When they came into this series, they were 5 games back and playing very well. They had just swept the Baltimore Orioles. They had won 10 of 11. But losing the first 2 games of this series, they're 6 back and now 6.5 with the Yankee win. But the Red Sox magic number, if you will, to reach the postseason as the wild card is 6. So any combination of Red Sox wins and or Rangers losses, and Boston is automatically in. So they really needed to win 3 out of 4 or sweep the Royals to put themselves in a position to pass the Yankees. They still have 3 more games with the Yankees. Tampa Bay has been eliminated. Oh, and 1 to Alex Gonzalez. Left center field, and David DeJesus runs it down 2 away. Detroit has defeated Cleveland, and Minnesota's in front of Chicago in the bottom of the 8th inning. So the Twins, if they can hang on, will still be 2.5 back. They have an off day tomorrow, which they will take here in Kansas City. They'll get into Kansas City late tonight and then begin a 3-game series on Friday. The Angels with a 7.5 game lead in the West. DeJesus with all 3 putouts in a scoreless 8th inning for Carlos Rosa. making changes. Defensively, at third base, Chris Woodward, veteran infielder, takes over for Mike Lowell. And Billy Wagner is on the mound in place of Hideki Okajima. Wagner pitched in the game on Monday, and the Royals scored a run off of him in the 7th inning. An insurance run for Joakim Soria, and that come from behind 12-9 win. So all the Red Sox did at the trading deadline was add a setup man for their all-star closer, Jonathan Papelbon. And not just any setup man, but one of the game's best closers, at least when he's healthy. They also added a starting shortstop and a starting catcher. And went out and got Casey Kochman, who is one of the better glove men in baseball at first base, if they need some defense in the later innings. Not bad.
Well, it's not bad, especially when you see yourself in the playoffs. It makes you look real good. You got so many different options you can go with, and you just can't really get enough hitting when you go down when you're competing in the East. You can't get enough pitching when you get in the East. So you get into the playoffs, that's when you need both the offense and the pitching.
Willie Bloomquist is out. That was his first plate appearance. That's 9 strikeouts for Red Sox pitchers tonight. Beckett had 7. Okajima with 1 in the 7th inning, and now Wagner getting Bloomquist. Yuniesky Betancourt with a good night. 3 hits against Beckett, including an RBI triple and a run scored. Betancourt's done very well against Beckett. That makes him 6 out of 13 with a home run and a triple. Jason Bay over from left field, 2 down in the 8th. Jason Bay does not have an error all year for the Red Sox, trying to become the 4th Red Sox outfielder to go an entire season without an error. Last year, Jacoby Ellsbury accomplished that. Jason Bay also has 15 outfield assists. So here's a guy at the plate and a guy in left field who are both having excellent years on defense, and the Red Sox believe that Jason Bay should get some Gold Glove consideration. And of course, the Royals believe David DeJesus should get the same. The other 2 Red Sox outfielders who have gone a whole year without an error, Carl Yastrzemski and Ken Harrelson, as in Ken Hawk Harrelson,
yeah,
who's now the television voice of the Chicago White Sox. So 2 outfielders who have gone all season without an error. And those 2 have combined for 28 outfield assists. I don't know what their ultimate zone rating is, but they're both having good years on defense.
Well, we think about the zone rating thing. Can they play baseball? Yeah.
David has driven in a run, his 71st of the year. Three and 2. Just missed for a walk. So David on for the second time, runner at first. And Mitch Meyer will dig in against Billy Wagner. And while Meyer does that, Josh Anderson will run for David DeJesus. Mitch with a 3-hit game. So both Meyer and Betancourt coming up with 3 hits against Beckett. So those two alone had half of the 12 hits the Royals hit against Beckett. But again, only getting 2 runs out of that. Beckett in line to win his 16th game of the year and improving to 5-0 against the Royals. 2 balls, 1 strike. Billy Wagner missing a big chunk of this year, recovering from Tommy John surgery, which he had last year with the Mets. And with his injury, the Mets went out and shelled over a whole bunch of money to Francisco Rodriguez, who had a major league record for saves last year. And Wagner will be a free agent at the end of this year. Royals scoreless in the 8th. On to the 9th. Royals down by 4. Josh Anderson, who ran for DeJesus, goes into center. And Mitch Meyer, who started in center, shifts over to left. Mark Teahan goes from right field to third. Carlos Rosa stays in to face Dustin Pedroia. A walk and an RBI single for Pedroia. 15-game hitting streak. Down, no balls, 2 strikes against Rosa. Royals with 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th inning against Josh Beckett, Betancourt, and DeJesus bringing home the runs. But in the very next half inning, Boston scored 6. And that included 8 straight reaching against Luke Hochevar. And that's all the scoring we've seen tonight, just 2 half innings. through the right side. So a 2-hit game for Pedroia. After the game tonight, stay tuned for Boulevard Royals Live from Rival Sports Bar out in right field with Joel Goldberg and Paul Slidorf, as well as analysis from Frank White. Brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City's beer. Yeah, go ahead, wave at the camera. Oh, 0-1 to Victor Martinez. Extended his hitting streak to 22 games in the 5th inning. With a single and a run scored, he is 1 for 4. It was very hard on both Martinez and the Indians when the trade was made at the deadline. Justin Masterson going from the Red Sox to the Indians. Martinez not only one of their better players, but he was their leader. He was not officially the captain, but that's basically the role that he had. And the Cleveland people were saying that it was almost like a scene out of a movie. After Martinez heard that he was traded away, his son, with his Cleveland Indians uniform, with tears running down his face in the Indians clubhouse and sitting on his dad's lap, saying, "You mean we aren't going to be Indians anymore?" And I guess everyone in the clubhouse, it was just such a hard scene to watch. But you go to Boston and you play well, they're going to make you feel like a Red Sox player very fast. Not that Martinez doesn't miss Cleveland, but that is one special place to play.
Well, that is true. I mean, you see a number of Red Sox hitters on fly balls that don't make it to first base. They just kind of get halfway and turn around and come back to the dugout. So I'm sure that's not really something that the fans are going to really start to endear themselves to. So you hit a fly ball in center field, you at least got to get to first base. I don't care who you are.
Inside to Kevin Youkilis. Youkilis had a huge series against the Royals in July. 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. But in this series, he is just 1 for 12.
You watch Kevin Youkilis at the plate and you wonder who's got the best dance at the plate, Kevin Youkilis or Michael Belis. They both got that bat way up over their head and their bodies making all these movements. And
he is just barely hanging on to the bat. Anderson coming up in center field, and it was one of the greatest Red Sox players of all time, if not the greatest, Ted Williams. He used to say you should grip the bat so lightly that if someone was walking by, they should be able to just take it right out of your hand. At least that was his approach, instead of choking the bat and putting all those pressure in your hands. Well, Youkilis certainly subscribes to that. I mean, that thing is just resting in his hands.
He probably just wants to be real relaxed while the pitcher's going through his windup. And once the pitcher's being ready to release, that's when you start to firm up a little bit, and you just want to be firm when the bat comes through the hitting zone.
One and two. Oh, that's on Donnie Miller. And then immediately to, it wasn't me. And then disguised herself with a cap.
Well, Donnie will be looking for some sort of awning to go over his head next year out there on the party deck.
Hey, Donnie, it's the girl. If you turn around, it's the girl in the gray tank top on the cell phone. Turn around. She's on her phone right now. Where's Donnie? This is what happened. Whoop!
She didn't want any more beer tonight.
Ball one to David Ortiz. I mean, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but this is Donnie Miller we're talking about. That's our guy.
That's our guy.
Deep right center field. Cover your beers. And David Ortiz putting in a spot where no one can get it. Into the fountains in right center field for his 25th home run of the year.
Yeah, David's been hitting some hard ground balls and line drives, and sooner or later he's going to get the one pitch that he can handle here, and he got this pitch from Carlos Rosa and hit it into the water in right center field.
And no matter how hard he tried, there was nothing Unievsky Betancourt could do to make that play. Prior to that at bat, David Ortiz would swear that there were 11 Unievsky Betancourts on the field.
I tell you, you only have to. You can only go so long before Big Papi's going to get his pitch and do something with it. And Rosa left that ball out over the plate, and he got it. It was up a little bit too for David, and he really did turn on it. He didn't miss.
Is that security there now? Well, hey, you don't just spill beer on anyone around here. I mean, well, we've got standards here. Pass Rosa and out into center field, and the Red Sox have finally matched the Royals in hits at 12, but Boston leads by 7. J.D. Drew's second hit and the 4th time he's been on base. And now he will depart for a pinch runner as Josh Reddick comes out of the dugout. And here's Alex Gonzalez, who has 2 hits. By the sound of it, there was a great play just below us. Ooh, outstanding. Barehanded backhand.
Better than me.
And before the crowd could cheer, he passed the ball on to his son.
What's this ball smell like?
Well, we had the fan earlier who wanted to know what a Major League Baseball looked like, and now we have a young fan who wants to know what it smells like. That might be the best play we've seen all year in the stands.
I agree. That was some kind of catch right there. Most people are trying to get out of the way of that one. That'd be interesting to see if that ball would go back over the rail. Uh-oh.
Look out, Donnie. Shallow center field, and Anderson is there. The inning is over. Boston adds 3, and they take a 7-run lead into the bottom of the 9th inning. Field for Jason Bay. And Jonathan Papelbon getting some work in a non-save situation. Royals coming up with 12 hits tonight and only 2 runs. And they got those 12 hits in the first 6 innings. It'll be Billy Butler, Brian Pena, and Alberto Callaspo coming up in the 9th inning. Billy is the subject of tonight's Mercedes-Benz E-Class Attention Assist of the Game. Hooking up with Victor Marte over at first base. And at the plate tonight, Billy with 2 hits, singles in the 3rd and 4th innings against Josh Beckett. So Beckett for 6. He gave up 2 runs. Okajima pitched the 7th, Wagner the 8th, and now Papelbon. And he's going to get an out on 1 pitch. Gonzalez in front of Jed Lowry, who is now at second base. And now Brian Pena, who has walked and singled 1 for 3. Jonathan Papelbon earlier this year became the Red Sox all-time saves leader, passing Bob Stanley. Papelbon began his professional career as a closer, and we were talking about the 2007 season, and when the Red Sox opened here at Kauffman Stadium, Gil Mesh against Kurt Schilling, Alex Gordon's first major league at bat. Well, Papelbon had a successful season the year before as a closer, but the Red Sox had a need at starter, so they tried to convert a closer into a starter. And shortly into the 2007 season, he was back closing games, and he closed the final game of the 2007 World Series with the Red Sox beating the Rockies That's the first time that I can remember that. I mean, usually it's a starter who ends up in the bullpen and eventually a closer, but taking a guy who is already a closer and trying to make him a starter.
Well, that's taking a power guy, a maximum effort guy, and saying, we want you to become more of a finesse guy and work through 6 innings, hopefully 7 innings for us. And so you really just take him right out of his game. And I think the Yankees had a hard time trying to make a decision with Jabba Chamberlain, as to what they want to do with him. And eventually he worked himself back to the starting role. But he was also a guy who had the arm to be a closer, but also could start. And I think where Papelbon was just always been a closer or a guy coming out of the bullpen, so it's hard to take that guy and make him a starter.
A closer at Mississippi State, drafted in the 4th round by the Red Sox in 2003. Woodward at third base, throws out Pena, 2 down in the 9th. And it'll be Luis Hernandez batting for Alberto Callaspo. Callaspo finishes the night 0 for 3 with a walk. Royals coming from behind on Monday after being down by 6 on 2 different occasions. Last night scoring early and hanging on, and things were looking good for the Royals early tonight with a 2-0 lead against Josh Beckett. Luke Hochevar had thrown 4 scoreless innings. The Red Sox getting 6 in the top of the 5th, all against Hochevar. The Royals with 12 hits in the first 6 innings, but only the 2 runs, and now haven't had a hit since. So the Red Sox 1 strike away from winning Game 3, but the Royals tomorrow with a win can still win the series, and that would be the Royals' 5th consecutive series win. Hernandez still live at 0-2. The Yankees have already won, so Boston will remain 6 games back. And as far as the wild card goes, Oakland is in front of Texas in the 5th inning. And Boston with a 7-game lead over the Rangers in the wild card. So with their win, their magic number will be reduced to 5 to advance to the postseason. And if Oakland hangs on tonight, when the Red Sox take the field here at Kauffman Stadium tomorrow, their magic number could be 4. Any combination of Red Sox wins and or Rangers losses, and the Red Sox are the American League wild card. Papelbon doesn't get a save, but he shuts the door on the Royals in the bottom of the 9th. The Royals still lead the series 2-1, but Boston with a 6-run 5th inning. That's all they needed tonight.